I'm going to touch briefly on the brands of light that I use, because that's a question that I get a lot, is what kind of lights that I use. My lights for everything at the time of recording this are Profoto lights, which I find to be the best personally, but in no way am I totally sold on any brand. I don't think that this should ever dictate how you feel about your work, or how it should never dictate you taking good pictures or not. It's just the kind of thing that'll make your life easier. So before Profoto, I was actually using Alien Bees lights, and a lot of people are always wondering why I made the switch. And there's a couple of reasons. First off, I have only good things to say about Alien Bees. They're very, very cheap. They're very affordable for a lot of people starting out like I was. And they make a lot of good lighting modifiers that I still use on my Profoto lights. So what I've done is here, I didn't really feel like replacing all my old Alien Bees stuff, because that gets really expensive, especially buying Profoto and Chimera softboxes. And I find the quality to be the same. So what I ended up doing was actually just swapping out the Alien Bee speed ring and buying the Profoto speed ring at B&H and just swapping it. So one of the main reasons why I switched from Alien Bees to Profoto was actually the color quality of the bulb. I just didn't feel like the quality emitted from the bulb. When I looked at the picture, I could tell that this one was lit with Alien Bees and this one was not. It's a really weird thing that has to do with the color of the light coming from it and the gradation of the light. And I strongly believe that. A lot of people think I'm crazy, but I can almost tell when somebody are using lower quality lights, just how they look. Now, whether this means it's just a perceived thing or whatever, I still prefer the look of a Profoto picture. I feel like the light looks a lot smoother, a lot more professional, if that makes any sense. Also, another thing is I found that when I use Alien Bees all day, flashing and flashing, the consistency of the color and also the actual output of the light changed quite a bit. And when I'm shooting and I have to build huge proof galleries and edit a bunch of pictures, that's the last thing that I want to do, is have to spend time on that. The final and probably the main reason why I switched to Profoto from Alien Bees is in the United States, Profoto is actually the industry standard where I work. So what that means is on every single big budget photo shoot, photographers aren't really expected to own their own gear. We actually rent it for editorial and commercial shoots. We rent it from a rental company, and they usually always have Profoto. So what that means is, instead of the client paying the rental company to rent their stuff, I can get money on top of my fee for using my own equipment. And I like to own my own equipment anyway, because I do all my own personal travel stuff and I like that. So I end up making up the money back that I spent on the lights, and also making a extra income from it. So that all works well. And I mean, I own a lot of Profoto stuff, but I don't own a huge studio setup. So since that I own Profoto, when I do a big commercial shoot where we have to have every lighting setup pre-lit and ready to go for when the actual talent gets there, I bring in some of my own stuff and I mix it together with the rental stuff. So I can still mix it together, get paid for it, thank you, and everybody's still happy. So that's probably the main reason why I switched to Profoto. Now, a lot of people don't have the money to simply go and buy a bunch of Alien Bees or Profoto stuff. So a lot of people I know out there use speed lights, those little tiny camera mounted flashes. And I absolutely love speed lights. I think they're like awesome, because on lower budget shoots where there's like not money for me to use my own stuff, or there's not money for me to travel with all this stuff and I have to bring little flashes, I really love just, sticking them in my bag. You can transport them anywhere. They're a little bit cheaper than Alien Bees as well. So I've done a lot of my first shoots with those, and I've got some pretty good results. This is a shot of it that I took of the band Emmanuel in Kentucky. And all it is just one speed light for the main light and another speed light hidden behind them, which is replicating the sunlight, giving a little bit of backlight to their hair. And actually, this was taken at a time when I didn't have a proper softbox just because I simply couldn't afford buying a proper softbox after buying those speed lights. So the actual main light is a self-made last-minute softbox that I made when I was just staying at a really crappy hotel. I went in the dumpster and got a cardboard box. I slit my bed sheet and stole a bed sheet and made the white covering, the diffusion, and taped it around, and then I covered the inside of the box with tin foil. And that on a speed light actually made a pretty good softbox. And I think the final picture looks good. You could never tell. So I can't even imagine what the band was thinking when I had this like really shitty softbox, but they were totally happy with the picture, and I think it came out great. Another photo that I took using speed lights was a photo for Arena magazine, RIP. And I took it of Patrick Watson in Scarborough, Ontario, at the Scarborough Bluffs. And again, it was just a simple shot with speed lights, just one main one to light the front of their faces and one from behind for a little bit of backlight. So the main speed light didn't actually go and cover enough area to cover all the band members, so it's mainly affecting the main singer. So the backlight is actually hitting the faces of the guys in behind him. Now, one might ask, why didn't I just take speed lights on my trip with me to Ethiopia? On my trip to Ethiopia with me, I took a Profoto 7B generator, which is 1200 watts of power, generated from a single battery. And it's a lot bigger and a lot heavier than just bringing speed lights. A lot of people will say, well, why didn't you just bring speed lights there? And that's only for the reason that a speed light is just simply not powerful enough. When I shoot on most of my work that's environmental, another technique I do is I actually underexpose the background. So what I mean by this is that my main light is actually a little bit brighter than the ambient light around. So in my Africa series especially, what this does is when my camera is properly exposed on my light, but underexposing the background by usually 1 or even 2 stops if I'm feeling a little crazy that day, then it's giving this kind of mood, dark, kind of atmospheric look to the picture, because all the focus is just right on the subject and it's just lighting them out. Really beautiful. And with normal speed lights, those small camera mounted flashes, I can't really do that. Even the most recent models of speed lights, there's no way that they go up to 1200 watts of power. So until they can do that, then I might change my mind. But in the meantime, I'm gonna have to lug Profoto battery packs through the jungle and up mountains. When I underexpose the background, usually I have to use a very small aperture. So with a small aperture comes a large number, so I usually have to use f11 or f16. And the problem with using apertures like that is it just puts everything in complete pin sharp focus, meaning the subject, the background, everything is really sharp. And to me, that looks really kind of bland compared to the nice kind of creamy depth of field that I can get shooting with a big aperture such as 2.8. And shooting at apertures like that, I mean, everything in the background, the bokeh is nice. It just looks a lot more painterly. I much prefer that look. But I still want to underexpose the background. So the solution that I do is I use things called ND filters in front of my camera lenses, not on the lights, because that would defy the whole purpose of what you're doing. But putting these on your camera lens is a little bit like putting sunglasses on, or sunglasses in front of your camera. It changes the exposure, but not the actual colors in the picture. And these are leaf filters, so they're built pretty good, so they don't affect the sharpness too much. So when I use these in combination with my studio lights, overpowering the sunlight, I can underexpose the background, and then I can underexpose the background farther with this, and I can get the light in proper exposure with this, while still using my apertures of 2.8 to 3.5. And most of the portraits in Africa were taken around 3.5. I didn't use speed lights in the photographs that I took in Ethiopia simply because they weren't powerful enough. But in a closed set sometimes, or indoor, or just when I don't need that much power in my commercial work, I do use them quite a bit. Um, like how I explained with the Panic at the Disco shot hidden in the lamp. But if you do want to find out more about speed lights and more mathematics and new findings and technicalities, I really recommend David Hobby's website, strobus.com. He posts there all the time cool things that he's learned, all the news and all the recent models of speed lights, both for Canon and Nikon. And it's just a really good information source, so I really recommend checking that out if you don't already.